Chapter 1: The Capture. Sergeant Marcus Kane had seen his fair share of battlefields, but nothing like this. His squad had been deployed to the contested world of Ziphian 7, a planet caught in the crossfire between the Terran Federation and the Zhar'Khai Empire. The mission was simple: sabotage the enemy's supply lines. Instead, they walked into an ambush. One moment he was giving orders. The next, a plasma net slammed into him, searing his armor and knocking him unconscious. When he awoke, he was not in a prison cell. He was in a palace. A towering obsidian throne room stretched before him, lit by bioluminescent vines crawling along the walls. Guards clad in sleek organic armor stood at attention, their 4 eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. And on the throne, the Empress Vera Zhar'Khai. Her presence was overwhelming. Taller than any human, her skin a deep violet, her 6 slender arms folded with regal grace. Her crown was not metal, but living crystal, pulsing with an eerie light. And her eyes, golden, slit-pupilled and locked onto him. "You are the one," she said, her voice like silk over steel. Marcus coughed, his throat dry. "The one what?" A murmur rippled through the court. The Empress rose, her long, flowing robes whispering against the floor as she approached. "The one I have chosen." Chapter 2: The Claiming. Marcus had expected torture, interrogation, maybe execution. He had not expected to be bathed, dressed in fine silks, and seated at the Empress's side during a feast. The Zhar'Khai nobles stared at him with a mix of fascination and disdain. Their language was a series of melodic clicks and hums, but his neural implant translated enough. Why does she want a human? He's weak, fragile. The Empress has gone mad. Vera ignored them all. When the feast ended, she led him to her private chambers, a vast room with a ceiling open to the stars. "You do not understand," she said, turning to face him. Marcus clenched his fists. "Damn right I don't. What the hell do you want with me?" She tilted her head, studying him. "You are different. Your blood sings with something rare." He scoffed. "I'm just a soldier." "No." She stepped closer, her scent like spiced ozone. "You are the key." Chapter 3: The Prophecy. That night she told him the truth. The Zhar'Khai were dying. A genetic plague, engineered by their ancient enemies, was slowly eroding their ability to reproduce. Their scientists had tried everything: cloning, gene splicing, artificial wombs. Nothing worked. But then the Empress had a vision. "A warrior from the stars," she murmured, tracing a clawed finger along his jaw. "One whose blood could awaken our dormant genes." Marcus recoiled. "You're saying I'm some kind of cure?" "More than that." Her eyes burned. "You are the bridge between our species." He laughed bitterly. "So what? You just chose me. No warning, no consent." Her expression darkened. "Do you think I wanted this? To bind myself to an alien? To beg for survival like a starving beast?" Silence stretched between them. Finally Marcus exhaled. "What happens now?" "Now," she said, "you decide if you will help us or doom us." Chapter 4: The Trial. The Zhar'Khai were not a people who begged. If Marcus wanted to refuse, he would have to prove his worthlessness in their eyes. The trial of the Unworthy was simple: survive a fight against one of their champions. If he lost, he would be cast out. If he won, well, no human had ever won. The arena was a pit of black sand, surrounded by thousands of Zhar'Khai. The champion, Karath the Blooded, was a monster of muscle and chitin, his 4 arms wielding curved blades. Marcus had one knife. The fight was brutal. Korath moved like liquid shadow, his strikes faster than any human could match. Marcus barely dodged, his body screaming in protest. But then, he saw it. Pattern. A hesitation in Korath's left strike. With a roar, Marcus dug his knife into the weak spot between the champion's armored plates. Korath collapsed. The crowd erupted, and the Empress smiled. Chapter 5, The Bond. That night, Vera came to him again. "You fought well," she said, her voice softer now. Marcus was exhausted, bruised, but alive. "Yeah. Lucky me." She hesitated, then did something shocking. She knelt before him. "I ask for your help. Not as a prisoner. Not as a tool. As a mate." Marcus stared. "You're serious. My people are fading. You have seen our strength. Imagine what we could achieve together." He thought of Earth, of the war, of the billions who would die if the Zhar'Khai grew desperate. And then, he thought of her, of the fire in her eyes, of the way she had chosen him despite everything. Slowly he reached out, touching her cheek. "All right, Empress. Let's save your people." Epilogue, The Union. A year later, the first hybrid child was born. Healthy, strong. The Zhar'Khai called her Hope. The war between their species ended. And Marcus. He stood beside Vera, no longer a prisoner, no longer just a soldier, but a king. Epilogue, The Throne of Two Worlds. Years had passed since Marcus Kane first stood in the throne room of the Zhar'Khai Empress. Now he stood there as her equal. The war between Terrans and the Zhar'Khai had ended in an uneasy truce, then a reluctant alliance, and finally an unbreakable bond. The birth of Hope, the first hybrid child, had been a miracle. But she was not the last. The Zhar'Khai called them Vaymar, children of the stars, stronger than humans, more adaptable than pure-blood Zhar'Khai, and most importantly, immune to the plague. Marcus stood on the palace balcony, looking over the capital city of Ziphian Prime. The spires of black crystal gleamed under the twin suns, and the streets teemed with life. Zhar'Khai, humans, and their hybrid descendants. A pair of small hands tugged at his robes. "Father!" He looked down to see Hope grinning up at him, her violet skin dusted with golden freckles, her eyes a perfect blend of human roundness and Zhar'Khai slit pupils. Behind her, Vera approached, her regal bearing softened by the smile she reserved only for them. "The ambassadors from Earth have arrived," she said. Marcus sighed. "Let me guess, they're still demanding I return home." Vera's lips curled in amusement. "They have finally conceded. They wish to discuss permanent relations." Marcus smirked. "Took them long enough." The coronation. The ceremony was unlike anything in human history. Marcus knelt before the high matriarchs, clad in armor forged from Terran steel and Zhar'Khai crystal. Vera stood beside him, her 6 hands resting on his shoulders as the ancient rites were spoken. "By blood you are bound. By choice you are king." The crown placed upon his head was a fusion of 2 worlds, a band of Earth's platinum, inlaid with Zhar'Khai living stone. The moment it touched his brow, the crowd erupted in cheers. Humans and aliens alike bowed as one. The future. That night, as the celebrations roared across the planet, Marcus stood with Vera in their chambers. "You never told me," he said quietly, "why you really chose me." She turned, her golden eyes gleaming. "Does it matter?" He laughed. "After all this, yeah, it matters." Vera traced a claw along his cheek. "The vision showed me a warrior with fire in his soul. A man who would fight not for conquest, but for life." He paused. "And when I saw you in that prison hold, bleeding but unbroken, I knew Marcus pulled her close. "Lucky me," she hissed in amusement, her forehead resting against his. "No, lucky us." Outside, the stars burned bright over a united empire.